Well, I guess the break wasn't as long as I thought it would be. We're back already. It's only been like a week or two, but not. I guess I'm not taking the break that I thought I was going to. So welcome back to TEW Impact. We're at July week two. Fresh off of Against All Odds. Basically, I know I said I was going to take a break for mostly booking reasons. Hadn't really gotten my creative juices flowing. But I guess they're starting up again, at least to an extent. Our next pay-per-view is Emergence, which I believe is week 2 of August. So basically, 4 or 5 impacts away, and that is starting to come together for me. Um, so I think I'm at least going to do that before taking a break. But um, I know I said I would like to have a plan in place for Bound for Glory. I still don't. Um, but I think hopefully playing through the next month or so will get me there. I kind of I maybe need, ideas. Maybe something in the game will happen. Maybe some more free agents will show up on the radar that we could possibly sign. Maybe something will spark. Maybe we'll find chemistry between people that I didn't know about before. So basically, I'm going to be at least be booking through Emergence, so another month or so. Um, and then Victory Road is in August, I think. No, Emergence is in August. So July from August, I'll be doing, and then Victory Road is in September, and then Bound for Glory is in October. So hopefully, I'm thinking if I book at least this next month, that might spark some ideas for Bound for Glory. I don't have any yet in store. But yeah, let's go to the news. Like I said, we are fresh off of Against All Odds. Not a big news week, but some stuff worth mentioning. So, our Against All Odds numbers, our overall rating was a 45, which was down from a 46 for Slammiversary. Our pay-per-view buy rate was a 0.59, down from 0.63 for Slammiversary, and then attendance was 1,420, down from 1,571 for Slammiversary. So down across the board from our previous pay-per-view. Not major drops. I think this is still, if Under Siege was first, Slammiversary was a close second, and then I guess this would be a close third. So we're still, I guess, in the 6 months that I've been doing this, still I guess a top three uh pay-per-view. So we're still, we still got a ways to go, but things could be worse. Looking on the bright side of life, I guess. Impact news overall, due to the um, results of the match at Against All Odds, we did remove Matt Striker from commentary duties. So basically, he is just going to be a member of Maria's crew from here on out. I think he is set as a road agent. I don't know if I've ever really used him as a road agent. That could be a possibility. But basically, the match was an excuse to get Matt Striker off of commentary, and commentary for Impact consists of just now Ian Riccaboni and D'Lo Brown. Um, Reminder that before the Impact is Josh Matthews and Jimmy Jacobs. I did debate moving Matt Striker to before the Impact, but he's going to at least be factoring in some on-screen angles, I guess, for the near future, at least. So we'll see. I originally kind of just wanted to get rid of him from the onset. I'm not like a huge fan of him in real life, but I don't know. I got ideas. Maybe we can do something with him at least for the near future. We did extend Rachel Ellering's handshake deal. I think it was like a $50 per show deal, so no reason not to continue it. We did change Rhino's gimmick to Extremist Dominant. His previous gimmick, which I don't remember offhand, but I'm sure he'll probably tell us once we start the show, was not working out for him. So we're going to change it, and hopefully that'll serve him better. And then Jimmy Jacobs and Carl Anderson have accepted handshake deals with AIW. So AIW, yeah, yeah, they did accept them. I was thinking they just extended them, but they did accept them. So yeah, the Cleveland office getting Jimmy Jacobs and Carl Anderson. I didn't put it in here, but they did extend a handshake deal to Sheamus, who just recently left WWE. I don't think he's accepted it yet, but yeah, maybe Sheamus visiting Cleveland will, pop the uh, pop everything over there. WWE news, a decent amount of WWE news. Kane extended his contract as exclusive written. Primate and Ashton Smith extended development deals with NXT UK. Glenn Joseph of NXT UK and referee Ryan Tran have both left the company. Glenn Joseph previously of Progress Wrestling, so I don't remember if I think Progress is. Can't remember if they're running in the save or not, but maybe he'll go back. I don't know. It's not like I'm actually keeping track of them. But and then Danny Burch suffered a partial Achilles tendon tear on Raw against Austin Theory, Drew Gulak, and Brian Kendrick. Expected to be out for over 2 months. I think it's like 2 months and a week. But um, a somewhat more notable uh injury than I have been keeping track of. A lot of them have been, oh, they were injured, but they're not expected to miss any time. I probably won't put those in the news from here on out unless they happen to like someone major, but even then, I doubt it because they'll still be available. And then Noam Dar called up to the main roster, I believe from NXT UK. I didn't keep track of that, but they just said called up to the main roster, so good for him. News from America elsewhere. Cody Rhodes extended his handshake deal with AEW. Mike Knox extended his handshake deal with NWA. King Mo has left MLW, and then AAW and AIW have both increased their production values. AAW production values to professional, broadcast quality to hired pro, music level to local, live experience to small. And then AIW is, well, I won't say mostly the same, but they've upgraded production values and broadcast quality to semi-pro, and then music to local and live. I can't talk right now. Live event experience too small. So all those numbers, those people, those those companies growing. I think AIW might be tiny. AAW might be, well, they might be tiny too, because I think we're technically small. And MLW is smaller than us, but I think they might be smaller, tiny. So I'm sure these guys are probably tiny. But good to see them growing. Good to see the business growing. Good to see AIW growing as my somewhat hometown fed, if you will. Even though I don't live in Cleveland. Japanese news, Ice Ribbon on a hiring spree, at least a little bit. Hired Jungle Kiona, Chihiro Hashimoto, Azumi, Natsuko Tora, and Yu to handshake deals. Um, as someone who has really not super familiar with Joshi, just kind of like ancillary, uh, kind of paying attention from afar, but not closely following things. I wonder how sacrilege it is for this to happen in game. I know, um, at least to some point, at least between like Ice Ribbon and Stardom, if you leave one for the other, it's kind of like you're back on one to uh leave for the other. But I think a lot of the like Ice Ribbon is hiring people who are still working with Stardom. I think Starlight Kid is working both. I'm pretty sure Azumi is working both. So I'm sure there's someone watching that's like a big Joshi follower. Is probably screaming this game is sacrilegious, but I don't know. Something I like to see. And then Noah Goshiozaki was loaned to DDT for a future date. Noah and DDT are in that cyber fight relationship, so that's not super um surprising. I think they had already loaned Marufuji to DDT once already. Retirements. Announced retirements. Leave the Bates of AEW. Sassy Steffi, Bruce Starp, and HC Loke. Official retirements. Satoru Sayama, Mike Bucci, formerly known as Nova. Barry Darso, Chaz, and Octagon. And then recent retirees Goldberg and Masakatsu Funaki have joined the Hall of the Immortals. All right, now we go to before the impact. We start off with Falaba defeating Crazy Steve in an unfortunate match. Basically, as a reminder, we have turned Falaba heel. Hopefully, you're trying to get him over as somewhat of a monster after years of being like the cuddly fan favorite baby face that hasn't really gone anywhere. But not a complete squash, but mostly a squash. After the match, Falaba is going to the back when Raj Singh and Shera come out to the stage and are basically clapping for him, applauding for him, cheering him on. For what reason, we don't know. Fala just kind of looks at them and kind of ignores them as he goes onto the back. But basically, Raj and Sarah are trying to get on Fala's good side. For what reason, we don't know yet. And then we have Killer Kelly challenging the digital media champion Zhao Zia. After last week's before the impact, Kelly had handily beaten Brandy Lauren, uh, and then Zia came out. Um, Not a direct challenge, but kind of made her presence felt. But now Kelly is laying down the challenge and has been accepted. So next week we will get Killer Kelly versus Zhao Zia for the Digital Media Championship. And then we get another angle like we did last week with Diener confronting Masha Slamovich, uh, kind of needling her, saying that he sees the violence within her. She just needs to bring it out, and he further kind of pokes the bear in that she could be in the place of Kelly Kelly or not Kelly Kelly Killer Kelly, or Zhao Zia. Um, she just is something is holding her back, and she just needs to unleash the violence. So Diener is kind of like kind of needling her, prodding her to be more violent, I guess, not getting that great of a rating. And then Danhausen defeated John Schuyler. Schuyler, someone might kind of forgot I had hired, but this is basically a reminder that Danhausen has the X Division title shot and kind of uh, at least showing him as a credible, somewhat, in ring competitor to a possible X Division title shot that he has. He is backing it up with at least a few wins. So Danhausen on a roll, somewhat, I guess. And then after the match, we go backstage. Before Impact starts off proper, D'Lo is preparing for to go out to the ring, to go out to the commentary table when Matt Striker confronts him. And Striker's just like, what do I thought we were friends. He's like, I thought, once we, this match between, this thing between me and Ian, started that you would be on my side. I thought we were friends. I thought we were partners. Brown's like, D'Lo is just like, well, I gotta admit, like, that one, Ian is good. I'm not gonna let him, not gonna say he's not good. Not gonna uh like he earned his spot, and really all the issues that you have with Ian are yours alone. He gets along fine with everyone backstage, so I don't know what your big deal is. But Stryker's just throwing down the friend card. He's like, I thought you were supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to back me up. And basically, Stryker ends his friendship. He's just saying, I can't believe you would do this to me, and just kind of storms off, leaving Brown mostly confused. So, doing something a little bit with Matt Stryker and D'Lo Brown from here on out. Overall rating of 30. I have to wrangle my cat a bit, so once I do that, let's go to Impact. Cat is on the bed. Hopefully, she'll stay there. But we start off Impact with an 8 women tag team match. The Steels crew. Um, I still need a cool name for them. Defeating the team of Jordan Grace, Quinn McKay, Rachel Ellering, and Roxy. Um, Reminder that Jordan versus Mercedes Martinez at Against All Odds. Mercedes got the better of Jordan with help from the rest of the crew. Then eventually, Quinn and Rachel and Roxy ran up for the save so that she didn't suffer a 4-on-1 attack. So that sets up tonight's match. But in the end, it's actually Tasha Steelz pinning Jordan Grace, illegally using the ropes for leverage, but cheating, but getting the win nonetheless. Tasha likely wanting this win um, all along, had been at the short end of the stick when facing off against Jordan, but now with Mercedes um, at the helm of their crew, things are turning up for them, and luck is running out for Jordan Grace, or at least, her backup was not that good for her tonight. Savannah Evans, Janai Kai, and Quinn McKay were all off their game, so not a great start. Not, something I would have liked, but, something to at least get Steel's crew somewhat back on the map. Jordan, something to do. Everyone, something to do. But yeah, segment rating of 35 for that. And then we go backstage where Rich Swann is basically walking around, hanging out. He's confronted by Willie Mack. Willie steamed about last week before Against All Odds. Last week on Impact, Rich Swann and Willie Mack had their blow off match. Swann won, but due to the continued interference by his wife, Sue Young, Willie Mack is like, I know you broke this thing off, and I know you've done a lot of low down, dirty things to me, but I can't believe you'd stoop so low to using your wife to get the win. And Swan is basically claiming ignorance. Um, Again, claiming that, hey, I didn't know Sue Young was here. I didn't see her interfere. As far as I know, when I left home, she was at home taking care of the baby. Uh, and when I got back home, she was back home taking care of the baby. Uh, so I don't know what's going on. The Sue Young, you can't even prove that's my wife, and blah blah blah. And Willie just kind of like blows him off. He's like, I'm done with you, and just walks off. So Swan getting the better of his former partner, but not really earning brownie points with anyone on the Impact roster. Segment rating of 36. This is actually going to start a new storyline. Um, so we will see what happens from there on out. We go to the ring where Ace Austin and Man Fulton come out. Austin takes the mic, cuts a promo. Austin talking about how he has the world title shot that he won in Feast or Fired, and he fully intended on cashing in on Josh Alexander at Against All Odds, but due to Jeff Jarrett coming out and attacking him, that did not happen. Luckily, he had his briefcase to deflect the guitar shot, but he says that Jeff Jarrett is probably going to be a thorn in his side, so he's going to pull that thorn out, and he's going to do it tonight because he's challenging Jeff and Josh to a tag match here tonight later on Impact. Austin and Fulton versus Jarrett and Josh Alexander. Jeff comes out with his guitar and with a microphone, and he's like, "Yeah, I know I came here as the new peacekeeper of Impact, and I know didn't plan on getting involved in people's affairs, but if you want a match, then I guess you got it." And immediately, the Impact World Champion Josh Alexander comes out to interrupt Jeff, and he's like, "Whoa, what's going on here? What is this, Jeff? What are you doing? I know you came back, and it's great that you're back here on Impact. You started everything, but you've been in my affairs, in my business ever since you got here, and I didn't ask for any of it. I don't need you to take care of any of my business, and quite frankly, I don't want you taking care of any of my business because I can do it all myself. I'm the Impact World Champion. I'm the one putting this company on their back to future success. And if I didn't know any better, this whole thing you're doing right now, if I didn't know any better, I would think this would be the Jeff Jarrett of old trying to worm his way into getting his former spotlight, his former glory in the place he founded. And basically, Josh is kind of reading him the riot act. Austin and Fulton are in the ring laughing to themselves, and Jeff's like, "You know what, Josh, you're right. I got my temper's been the best of me, I guess, lately. I've been since coming to Impact, I've felt the pride of Impact, and I've wanted to see it succeed, and I guess that pride has gotten the best of me. Josh, you know what? You're 100% right. There's no reason for me to be uh inserting myself in matches, not to mention, not the least your matches. So, you guys can do this match. Josh, you can find a partner. I'm sure you'll have no problem finding a partner, but, I'm out. Josh, you're 100% right. You don't need me interfering in your affairs. I wish you the best of luck, but, I'll still be around, but, you don't need this old dog Jarrett in your matches. So I'm just gonna go, and you guys have a good match tonight. Blah blah blah. And Jarrett uh, walks off. Josh is kind of maybe regretting some of the things he said, but good points nonetheless. But yeah, we might have a rift between Josh and Jeff, while it could be debated that Austin is fully trying to take advantage of that. So we shall see. But we have a match set later tonight. Ace Austin and Madman Fulton versus Josh Alexander and a tag partner of his choosing. Segment rating of 36. Storyline is advanced, but somehow lost heat. So probably, you know, a segment that went better in my head than in game. So, all right, we come back to Impact. We got a six-man tag this time with Black Taurus, Matthew Raywell, and Steve Macklin of Maria Canal LC, defeating Team AAA of Commander, Astrolux, and Gotita de Plata when Black Taurus pinned Gotita de Plata. Basically a win, trying to get trying to keep Maria's crew somewhat in the limelight. They suffered a big loss at Against All Odds, which I'll get into later, but also Black Taurus not winning his match, which resulted in Matt Striker being removed from commentary. So a win to keep them in contention, a win to, keep Black Taurus at least a threat. And, what better way to do that over his than over his um, AAA counterparts. So segment rating of 38. Everyone's somewhat on the same level here, so I don't know if that's a case of Team AAA performing. Actually, Commander having the lowest performance out of all of them. But yeah. And then after that match, we go backstage to Maria and her group's locker room. Maria watching on TV, at least pleased that, Black Taurus in particular, but her group somewhat um, able to redeem themselves a little bit after Against All Odds. But of course, that happiness is soon broken up when Morrissey bursts into the locker room. Um, Michael Bennett immediately getting in the face of Morrissey, blaming him for his loss at Against All Odds. Morrissey coming back was like, well, it should have been me in that match, but if it wasn't for your wife, I should have been in that match, and if I was in that match, I would have won for sure. I'm the biggest guy in Impact, and you should be, hitching your bus to me, not the other way around. And basically, Maria is trying to get in between the two of them, hoping everything's not going to come to blows, but basically she shouts them both down, eventually gets them to shut up and somewhat relax. And she's like, I know you got, I know Against All Odds wasn't the best thing for us, but, we got to forge ahead if we're going to, you know, run Impact one way or another. So, you know, you two don't have to like each other, but I want you to work together because if we stand together, we work together, we can take over Impact. We got the muscle, we got the star power, we can do it. So eventually, in the end, cooler heads prevail, but we'll see how long these two, of course, hot heads, egos, what have you, will blow up in her face probably um, eventually. Segment rating of 31 for that. All right, and then we go backstage where Brian Myers is before his learning tree of Avery Good and VSK, and he's like, okay, I know we um, had a match with Jonathan Gresham, attempted to get him into the fold, bolster our learning tree. That was not to be, but we gotta forge ahead. We gotta keep be on the lookout for new talent. We gotta, we still gotta bolster our numbers because right now it's just the three of us, and eventually, a janitor slowly but obviously is like mopping his way into the locker room and like directly into the middle discussion as they're doing this and eventually bumps into Brian Myers and he's like, what are you doing here, Janet? Like, why is there a janitor in our locker room? What are you doing? And, goes to shove him in at CPA in a hat. The CPA trying to um, get back into the learning tree, or at least trying to, find out what they're doing. And Myers is just like, I'm sorry, man, but you're gone. You've been fired. I tried talking to management, but rules are rules. They're not going to bring you back, and we just can't bring you back. And at this time, so sorry, man. And they just kind of walk away, leaving CPA to himself. So kind of getting the over the fact that CPA is fired, but we'll probably pop up here and there. Segment rating of 23 for that. A new storyline for, well, I think we started the storyline in Impact previously, but CPA, potential possible face turn for CPA here in the future, but, basically right now he's kind of badly popping into segments trying to find out what's going on and trying to get his spot back, but, no can do. He's been fired and, you know, gotta stick to the rules, I guess. Segment rating of 23. And then we go to the Swingers Palace. Hernandez is just kind of sulking around, bummed about what happened at Against All Odds. He had a tag team title shot, um, originally set to be with his partner Homicide, but Homicide was taken out. Johnny Swinger took the spot, but they came up short. And Swinger is just trying to cheer Hernandez up right now. He's just like, "No, Daddy, I'm sorry. I guess old Swinger doesn't quite have it in him anymore. I'm sorry, but I had to help out my friend. I saw or saw you without a partner. Her homicide was out, and Hernandez just kind of like suddenly turns on a dime, grabs Swinger, and he's like, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say like you took out homicide? How do I know you didn't take out homicide? And you were conveniently there to pick up his spot. How do I know, it wasn't you who laid out homicide? But as he's saying that, homicide himself runs in and he's like, hey, put Swinger down. You don't have to do that. It wasn't Swinger. It wasn't Swinger. Hernandez is like, what are you talking about? He's like, homicide, just like kind of out of breath. He's like, man, I'm glad I found you. I just gotta apologize. I got taken out. I'm sorry, but I just gotta let you know, Swinger didn't have anything to do with that. But he was. I'm glad he was there. I'm glad someone was there watching her back. But and Hernandez was like, well, then who took you out? And Homicide just like, man, it was just someone from my past, man. It's just someone from my past, and it's just someone had some old beef, but it's done now. It's done. It's settled. Let's move on. You and me, LAX, back together again. You know, I heard that the Wolves were willing to uh, let you hang on to the tag title shot, but everything's good. Everything's underwater under the bridge. I say you and me against the Wolves next week on Impact. We cash in that title shot. We take our titles back. We show these kids who won who LAX really is. When we used to be the best tag team in Impact. And Hernandez is like, you're right. If you're good to go, let's do it. Hernandez and Homicide, dap each other up. Swinger somehow worms his way into it again and celebrates with them. But we got LAX versus the Wolves back on the table next week for Impact, segment rating of 29 for that. Then we get a interview with Gia Miller interviewing Mance Warner. Mance and Gia's like, how do you feel? You had a X Division title shot against Swerve at Against All Odds. Unfortunately, you came up short. How does that feel? Where do you go from here? And Mance is like, I'm glad you brought that up. I somehow, people were saying I somehow lucked my way into the title shot. All I had to do was ask, and I got it. Some people say I didn't deserve it. I was able to hang for a little bit, but in the end, I lost. And I'm willing to go to the bet. I'm willing to stand up like a man, admit that I lost, and I'm willing to go back to the back of the line and work my way up again. Because that's what a man does. But someone who doesn't get that is Chris Bay. I saw what Bay did to Swerve after our match, and let me remind everybody, Bay was the one that got pinned in their last match. You know, I got pinned. I'm willing to work my way up again. Bay should go back to the line just along with me and work his way up. And if he doesn't see it that way, I'm willing to take him to the back of the line with me. And Bay overhears this, interrupts Mance, and he's like, "Whoa, what are you trying to say?" He's like, "You think I don't, I, I attack Swerve because I wanted to. I can get a title shot anytime I want, and all this stuff." And Mance is like, I just don't think that was cool. You lost. Take it like a man. But if you don't want to, you know, I'm willing to do. I'm willing to, go one on one with you like a man next week on Impact. And Bay's like, oh, you think so? And they basically get into each other's faces. Next week on Impact, Mance Warner versus Chris Bay, segment rating of 32. Mance getting better at his gimmick. So something to get Mance firmly and put him into the main roster, even if it's like somewhat lower mid card, but still getting him out of before the Impact and putting him on Impact proper. We get Viper Viper, who made her debut, the former Dewdrop who left WWE, now in Impact as Viper. She entered herself into the 10 knockout battle royal and won pretty handily. Here she squashes Aspen Rose in 4 minutes. Aspen, we brought in as a local worker one shot for Viper to uh, squash. Segment rating of 32. It was kind of a somewhat of a tryout for Aspen Rose, but she only has an in-ring performance of 17. If we did bring her in, it would probably be as like a jobber, as like a permanent jobber. But so I don't know if we're gonna bring her in maybe down the road, but this was like a one-shot squash. But Viper does that pretty handily. And then after the match, she goes to Viper continues to beat down Aspen Rose until that eventually brings out the Knockouts champion Rosemary. So Viper earning the shot at Rosemary's title at Against All Odds. This attack bringing out Rosemary. So Viper, with the damage done, just eventually rolls out. Rosemary stares daggers into Viper. Segment rating of 30 for that. Um, I was kind of afraid because I know a couple shows ago had the problem where when I was booking shows and I went back in, the script checkmark was unchecked, but that seemed to be just a visual thing, I guess. Most of the people that I checked for to follow script did so. Apparently, Viper and Aspen Rose did not. So I don't know when that happened. So that segment took a hit. I kind of expected the segment to take a hit because the segment for um like an in-ring segment for someone to make the save on a beatdown is like a minimum 4 minutes, unless you do it as a freestyle. So I was expecting like a 4 minute uh took too much time for someone like Aspen Rose to, be on screen. So that got a negative. That wasn't a negative here, but the negatives we did get were um, not following the script. So whatever. Segment rating 30 for that. And then we go backstage where we're kind of like mid argument, I guess you could say, with Tennille Dashwood and the Inspiration, the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. But basically, we get the gist that we overhear uh, Jesse and Cassie are just like, this is over. We told you to go in that battle royal if you wanted to become knockouts champion, like you said you wanted to. You were going to go in and you're going to win that battle royal, but you didn't do it, did you? This arrangement we got where you're riding off of our success to get a title shot. It's over. You can't hang with us. Uh, we're the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. You had your chances to become the Knockouts Champion, but if you're gonna do it from here on out, you're gonna do it without our help. We're done carrying you, so this is this is it. You're cut off, and they basically leave her behind. Segment rating of 41 for that. We are starting a new storyline. Um, between these three and likely others to come in the near future. And then we go elsewhere backstage where from a breakup of one group to well, not the forming of another, but we do recap about how Trey Miguel and Sam Beal recruited the help of the Motor City Machine Guns to face Team AAA in a four or an 8-man tag against all odds and coming out the victors. And Sam is just like, heaping praise on the gun, just like, thank you for helping us out. I know we had our things going, and I asked you guys to come. Sorry, that was my phone. But I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna accept the invitation tag with us. I'm glad you guys did. I'm glad we won. Thanks to you guys. And anytime, you want our help or anytime whatever, I'd be glad to tag with you guys anytime. It was an honor. But the guns are actually kind of dismissive. They're just like, yeah, yeah, it was fun. It was fun tagging with you guys. It was fun, wrestling with AAA guys. But we got some tag team titles to go back to. The Wolves beat us. We got to go get those titles back. So it was fun, but we'll see you guys later. Kind of blowing. Trey is just like pops in. He's like, "Whoa, you guys blowing us off just like that? You guys think you're better than us? Just because you're bigger stars than us and whatever." So now it's like Trey trying to get into people's faces instead of Sam. Uh, but Trey's, Trey's like, "What? You think you're better than us?" And Gun's like, "Well, no, but we're former tag team champions. We're multiple time tag team champions, and you guys are, just starting out. You guys got a lot to prove." And Trey's like, "Well, what do you got to prove?" He's like, "Well, I guess, if you want to consider yourself like tag team title caliber, you know, we already beat you. If you want to match with us, if you want to match, with former tag team champions, guess you're gonna have to earn it, and you're gonna have to earn it, like by yourselves, not asking, you know, all these other tag teams to help bail you out all the time. So, just kind of sit and think with that, and then the guns just like kind of walk away. Trey's, pretty offended, but Sam's just like, whatever. These guys are cool. I like tagging with them. They're my heroes and all that. But so yeah, the guns kind of insulting and blowing off Trey and Sam. Maybe that wasn't their intention, but that's what they did. So segment rating of 37 for that. And then we go elsewhere, yet elsewhere backstage. The quick segment, though, we get the confirmation that Josh Alexander has chosen Mike Bailey as his partner for the main event later tonight against Austin and Fulton. They're in the locker room, they're preparing for the match, and they're just kind of talking. It's like, yeah, let's do this, but I can't help but wonder about Jeff. And my speedball brings up the point. It's like, man, I can't help but wonder about Jeff. Like, did you, hurt his feelings? And Josh is just like, maybe I did, but I had to say that, he's been like a fly around my head like those last couple weeks ever since Slammiversary, and I don't know. May I, for hurt his feelings, whatever, but I had to say what I had to say. So let's just leave it at that. So, segment rate of 29. Storyline losing heat to that too. So, yeah, elsewhere backstage. I don't know this angle, how many angles we have in a row, but it is a post pay per view show. So, setting up angles, and we are setting up a storyline where basically we are in mid attack. The Gospel of Violence are beating down PCO of all people to the point where, well, it's more so Brody King beating down PCO, and it's more of a mugging. Brody King wearing his ski mask, but it's obviously who he is, or obvious that it's Brody King underneath. Father Bateman, more so a spectator, kind of praying to his gods of violence, if you will, while Brody King beats up PCO. Eventually, they kidnap, instead of leaving him down and out, they kidnap him. I did not see a kidnapping angle in TEW, but that's what we're doing. Brody and Bateman chuck him into a van, the rear of a van, slam it shut, and drive off. So out of nowhere, we get the Gospel of Violence kidnapping PCO. For what reason? We don't know, but as the start of a new storyline, and a segment rating of 28. And now a match. Finally, a match. It's a hardcore match. Damien O'Connor defeating Rhino. So, this is with the recent uh, feud between Eric Young and Jake Something, We have Eric Young's bodyguard, if you will, Damien O'Connor versus Jake Something's new buddy Rhino in a hardcore match. Basically, I think we might have Eric Young at ringside, but he does not interfere. He lets the two big guys go at it eventually. Not sure when Ulster Plantation is, but in my head, the finish is that Rhino goes for a gore, but since it's a hardcore match, Damien O'Connor has a uh, garbage can. Rhino eventually somehow gores himself into the empty garbage can, and since he's a big boy, he can't get himself out of it. So while Rhino is stuck in the garbage can, Damien O'Connor plants him with a big boy splash, crushing the uh, garbage can with Rhino inside of it. Rhino unable to kick out, loses. Damien O'Connor wins. Damien O'Connor having a in-ring performance 46, which is pretty good. Ring performance of 38 for Rhino, resulting in a 44. And our gimmick change. Got an initial rating of great, which is better than what he's had. Not suitable to be used by heel. He's a face, so whatever. Small boost to microphone. Small penalty to star quality. Penalized for losing to a comedy gimmick, which a lot of these gimmicks do. May receive a bonus when booked to look dominant. Will be penalized for taking part in comedy bouts. So yeah, no real threat of Rhino. Basically, changing his gimmick was a good move. So, but not a good move was losing to, even though it was a hardcore match, still lost to Damien O'Connor. And then after the match, basically, Eric Young um, comes into the ring with Damien O'Connor, cuts a promo over Rhino's prone body, and cuts a promo to Jake Something. I know I kind of alluded to this at Against All Odds because I didn't know when I would do next episode, but here it is. But basically, Eric Young's explanation, much like Joe Doring before him, everyone's talking about how Jake Something is, the biggest rising star in Impact. He could be the next big thing in Impact, but Eric Young, you know, he's been an elder statesman. He's been here since the beginning. Maybe he left for a little bit, but he's here now. He's an elder statesman of Impact. Someone could call him a gatekeeper. So basically, whatever the next big thing is in Impact, they got to go through him. And but even before they can get through him, if they want to get to Eric Young, they're gonna have to go through Damien O'Connor first. So basically, Eric Young and Damien O'Connor enforcing themselves as like the next step of people who want to, make themselves a big name in Impact. Segment rank of 29, storyline losing heat. So it's episode probably not gonna be that great. But that starts off a rash of promos. So I did like 4 promos in a row for the next couple segments. So imagine them being like rapid fire, old school WWF or like the ECW Pulp Fiction promos. So it's basically like 4 sets of promos in a row. First, we go to Dalton Castle with his reunited boys. Um, he says, he talks about how if you truly love something, you have to let it go. And if it was meant to be, they'll come back to you. Well, it was meant to be because the boys are back, but not only are they here to do my bidding, but, you know, they're, I'm going to make sure they're in fighting shape. So I'm going to, I'm calling out any trio out there. If you want to get in the ring with Dalton Castle and, test my boys, have at it. So basically, Dalton Castle saying, like, the boys are back. We're ready for anyone to step up to them. Segment rating of 29. And then we get a Lance Archer promo. Lance Archer, who defeated PCO at Against All Odds, kind of reiterating what he said at after that match where he's like, anyone who wants to take me on, do it, but especially Joe Doring. If you're out there, if you're not hiding in Japan, come at me. We can get it on, you know, all that, and basically ends up with everyone dies as he tends to do. A fairly good promo. So one that actually gained heat to a storyline for once. So yeah, basically Archer taunting Doring and anyone else willing to step up to him. And then we get a promo, thankfully, with Swerve. So Swerve talking about how, he's still X Division champion. He put away Mance Warner, and now he hears that Mance and Chris Bay are trying to, you know, figure out, you know, trying to fight amongst themselves, but he's willing to take on anyone because Impact is Swerve's house and blah 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 blah. But a good enough rating for a 44, probably going to be the segment of the show, or just, yeah, the highest rated segment of the show, if I remember correctly. So Swerve proving why he's probably the coolest and best person on our roster. Probably one of the most over. I know people are more popular, but Swerve definitely on his way to being, a key player for Impact. And then we get the tag team champions, the Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, talking about against all odds. It's like, we came to wrestle and that's what we did. Unfortunately, Hernandez, Swinger wasn't your night, but we just heard you guys, Hernandez's homicide, you're willing to, cash in your tag team title shot next week on Impact. Well, we'll do it. Yeah, I hope make sure you guys are ready because we're going to come at you. We're proving why we're the best team in Impact history. And, you guys have a, you guys have a great history yourselves, but, you got to make sure you're, on your A game when you're facing a team like us. So, promo for, setting up that match, segment rating of 36, losing heat for that storyline. But now we get our main event. Madman Fulton, Ace Austin versus Josh Alexander and Mike Bailey when Ace Austin wins for his team, pinning Mike Bailey, likely using a foreign object. So I think I had him cheating. But let's say he goes to use the world title shot briefcase, but the ref stops him, grabs it, goes to toss it aside, but he's got that magic disappearing cane, so he pops that out, pops Mike Bailey, pins Mike Bailey. So Mike Bailey, I don't think he was undefeated, but definitely a notch in the negative column of his win loss record. Or Ace Austin getting a win, so somewhat of an upset, but kind of proving that Ace Austin could definitely be a threat to Josh Alexander's world title as long as he has that briefcase. Segment rating of 43. And then they celebrate to finish the show. Ace Austin, Madman Fulton, making their way to the back and celebrating their win. Um, Bailey apologizing to Josh about taking the pin, all that. So segment rating 34 for that. 42, better than I thought it would be. Um, Yeah, Swerve's promo and the hardcore match were the high points at 44. The main event doing better than I thought it probably would. Um, and then Tennille Dashwood and the Inspirations breakup, um, getting in the 40s, but everything else was pretty average. At least our definition of average, probably below average to some, but Viper squash match I kind of figured would be a low point. Uh, the Learning Trees promo kind of also a low point, but you know those are young guys we're trying to build up, notably CPA of all people. So Some low points to be had, but this is a post pay-per-view show. We are trying to get new storylines, new people, new faces, trying to make our way to Bound for Glory, even though I already said that I don't have a specific plan for Bound for Glory yet, but that's what we're trying to figure out now. We're on our way to Emergence. I think I have Emergence set at least in my head, but until then, we go to Emergence. By then, I hope we can figure out what to do for Bound for Glory. But until then, thanks for watching. Overall rating of 42. So decent, but probably not great. Lost popularity in one region, gained popularity in 29. So not horrible, but also kind of hoping we do better. But that's what future episodes are for. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make Impact better. And no one said it was going to be easy. We're going to do it. So, till then, thanks for watching. Don't know how frequent these episodes will be, but at least, you know, we're getting there. That's all I really can say. Thanks for joining. Good night.